That did not take long at all.
There we go. So myself and Brad have just turned up after work. We've got a lovely warm afternoon today and it's getting on a bit now. So we've been into HQ, we've grabbed a couple of new floater buckets. We've got a rod each and we're going to head off down to the lake now, see if we can make some sort of surface opportunity happen. How does that sound, Brad?
Yeah man, let's do it. Let's get some gear out.
Let's go.
So we've just arrived at the lake now and never been here before, and on first impressions it looks like a lovely old estate lake. It's evident that it's quite shallow, quite silty, we've seen a bit of fizzing, and just over my shoulder there's a few fish milling around in between the weed beds. So I think first things first, gonna get some floaters prepped, maybe a bit of oil because there has been a ripple coming and going, and see if we can get a few fish taken. So I've been feeding for probably half an hour now and we've got, I would say, about 10 fish out there properly having a go. Just been feeding little and often, just sort of 10 or 15 floaters at a time. And yeah, they're looking happy, which is good. So I'm gonna give it probably another 10-15 minutes of feeding them, sort of lead them into a false sense of security, and then it'll probably be time to get a rod out. No doubt Alex will have the first one now that I've fed them. But yeah, so it's looking promising, it's a good start, and yeah, hopefully we can nick a quick one. God, look at them churning out there. Quick bite's gonna be on the cards, boy. So I think now the time has come to have a little go. They look very, very happy out there. So I've just hooked on a oily salmon hook bait, and let's try and not mess up this first cast. Just cast past them and just going to tease it back onto where they're feeding. And hopefully it won't be too long. fishing at probably, I don't know, 40, 50 yards. I can't quite see the hook bait, so I'm relying on the float to do the work for me. But I'm sure I'll know about it if I do get a take. That did not take long at all. Well, that was a lot faster than I was expecting. But it just shows you, like, building up their confidence, not rushing into it, you know? That's the mistake a lot of people make when floater fishing. They see one fish take a floater and they've got to cast at it, but no, we built up their confidence, so there was a good number of fish taking confidently, and yeah, it didn't take long at all. That is absolutely awesome. Hopefully we can get it in. It's just milling about out there on the top, so I'm going to concentrate a little bit. Oh, a big bit of fish just come up where he's trying to bury in the silt. What a way to spend the evening, eh? Definitely your turn next. Right, well this should be interesting. The fish is actually out the back of the weed now, and all that weed is gathered on the line, so if I can coax him back into the weed, I'll be able to net the whole lot. Otherwise, it might be a case of throwing the rod on the floor and trying to pick it off. Alright, let's see if we can find him somewhere in this lot. Oh no, he's out the back of it. Look, that's interesting. That is interesting. Right, okay, this is going to be tricky, I think. Wow, that was hard work. Jesus. Bitten like mad by red ants because I'm standing in a nest. But we've got a nice common in the net. Wicked. So there we go then. Not the biggest one in the world, probably an upper double. He's absolutely full of beans still, even after that battle. Led me the right merry dance. But yeah, more than chuffed on a couple of hours. So I'm gonna get him slipped back and see if Al can't get one.
Now Brad slipped his fish back, I feel like it's sort of my turn to get in on the action a little bit. There's still a few fish sort of milling about out there, but they're not in the numbers they were in before when Brad was sort of getting them going on the surface. But I feel by just trickling a few floaters in, you know, not many, just trying to build their confidence back up, we might have another chance before it gets too dark. So yeah, let's crack on and see if we can get one. Where's my carp? Where's my carp? Tell me where my carp are, Brad. Definitely having a few more down here now, just at the back of the weed where I put those last lot floaters. I'm not sure it's really going to happen, to be honest with you, mate. It's not looking like it was earlier, is it?
No, definitely not. It's well, since that sun's gone down a little bit, we're coming into sort of like late evening now.
Yeah.
They've definitely gone off the boil a little bit.
I thought this would be a good time, but I feel
it can be on a
it
lot
can
of
be,
lakes.
yeah. I felt like early when we first got here, they were really up for it, and that heat was sort of beating down on the surface, and there was a lot up in the layers, but
yeah, no, they're definitely not competing like they were. but
Yeah.
we can't let you blank.
Nope, we can't.
So, I think we should have a word with Mr. Bossman and, oh, there's one show, and see if we can come back in the
tomorrow.
morning for a few hours.
It gets like nice and early now, so I think it's worth just sort of coming back and making the most of that
Oh, definitely.
early morning period, and then.
So, should we do that? Agreed?
Yeah, cool. Let's
Cool.
do that.
Right, let's get on the road and come back in the morning.
Wind this in. Call it a day. Right, so me and Brad have got down the lake again this morning. The sun has just come up over the fields at the back, and it looks like it's going to be another sort of good day for a bit of floater fishing. It's already quite warm, and it's only sort of 7 o'clock in the morning at the minute. We've baited a few different areas along the lake. We baited that dam area further down where we started yesterday, and we got those fish feeding, but we've come down the opposite end of the lake now, and we've baited a few sort of spots along the way just to open our options up, really, because we're not 100% sure where the fish are this morning. So we're just going to keep our eye on the water now down in this bay, because we've seen a few sort of fish milling about on the top and stuff. But throughout the morning, we've got a couple of hours ahead of us. We might just sort of move down, see if we can find where the fish are. So yeah, fingers crossed we can get something going. So I don't know if you can actually see, but over my shoulder here we've managed to get a few taking close in. We were up the top end. We gave it probably half an hour or so up there, but there just wasn't any sort of activity coming about. But we've come back round here where we baited up when we just arrived first thing this morning, and there's a few fish taken. And what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to draw them a little bit closer in, so we've got a better chance if we do hook one. We're actually going to swim down from where Brad caught his last night. And it's a little bit more overgrown here, so we are going to have a bit of a problem maybe casting out, but I'm just going to keep trickling the floaters in, build up their confidence, and then hopefully we might have an opportunity.
Well, while Alex is having a go for himself now, I thought I'd quickly run you through what sort of bait and stuff we're using for this trip. We've brought down a couple of the brand new floater session packs, and we've got the oily salmon and the more natural bloodworm one with us today. So in the packs you get 2 kilo of the 11mm floaters, you get a pot of hook baits to go with them, so the bloodworm ones are coated in the bloodworm liquid. You get 2 different colours in there, and then the same for the oily salmon, that's coated in salmon oil, and then you get 100ml of liquid to go with them as well. So this is the liquid bloodworm compound, and then obviously a salmon oil for the salmon ones. So yeah, it's perfect just for coming down like we're doing today, or if you've got a few hours here and there and you know you're not going to be using kilos and kilos of bait. It's just perfect for little scenarios like this. It means you can pack light, just take 1 bucket and you've got everything you need in it.
So before I get my rod out this morning, we've got a few fish feeding down the bank there. I'm just going to quickly run you through what I'm using. One of the things I love about floater fishing is just the pure simplicity of it, really. You don't have to overcomplicate things, and you don't need a lot of tackle to get out there and make most of a surface opportunity. There's a couple of ways to catch them off the top. You can free line, that's sort of close range tactics, but what I'm doing today is using a controller float. Just before I move down to the controller, you might notice that I'm using braided mainline. I prefer using braid on the surface as it's just a bit more instant. You've got more control over the fish, especially in the weed. I've got a 30-gram controller float here. That's perfect for sort of like up to 40-50 yards range. I have a few different floats with me normally, so I can sort of chop and change throughout the day depending on where the fish are. And a nice light sort of clear link for just making sure it stays nice and inconspicuous on the surface. This is a 12-pound link, but I'd change between like an 8 or 8 to 15 pounds depending on how bad the weed is and the conditions on the day. And then moving down, I've just got a whittled down oily salmon floater bait there, one of our hook baits that comes in our packs. And what I've done is I've cut the top off, made a groove in it, then super glued my hook bait between the groove, and it just sits nicely. And when that lays on the surface, you've just got the hook bait lying down, so when the fish come up, it's in a perfect position just to catch hold. And that's just a small size 8 hook. Yeah, so that's my simple setup really, and hopefully we can go nab one off the top. So after quite a frustrating morning, getting them feeding, they were quite cagey to be fair, but I managed to underarm one just past where they were a few were feeding, and one came up, and before the float even twitched, I just had to strike and just set the hook, because they're just so finicky this morning, and sometimes they can be like that way. You have to do all the work yourself rather than letting the float do the work, but I managed to hook one, so fingers crossed we can get this one in and we can show you. Doesn't look like a big fish, but this weed can sort of play havoc a little bit sometimes when you float fishing. You just have to take your time and let the light rod do their work. Come on, Gil. Get in there. Yeah, there we go. Ah, we worked off that one, didn't we, Brad?
Certainly did.
That's a nice little result. Oh yeah, got there in the end. So, it's definitely worth getting back down to the lake this morning. We worked quite hard for this one, to be fair. We got them going, but they were quite finicky. But eventually, this lovely, sort of wildy looking common slipped up. It's got a crazy old dorsal fin on it, and yeah, certainly worth coming back. So we're nearly sort of like at the end of the trip now. We've only got probably an hour or so left, so me and Brad are maybe going to try and winkle one more off the top, but if not, we've had a good trip, haven't we, mate?
Definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, let's get this one back.
Well done, mate.
Cheers. Hey.
Finally. Oh, we worked so hard this morning to try and make it happen, and they've just been so preoccupied on the offerings that I just haven't been taking the hook bait. We tried fine-tuning things and it hasn't made a difference, so yeah, we're just sort of stuck with it, and eventually I've sort of bored one out, if you like. Persuaded Al just to say like another 20 minutes because they look so up for it, and yeah, with minutes to go, it was like the clock's ticking, and with minutes to go I've managed to hook another one, so this will be a lovely way to end if we can get it in. Big salmon on! Big salmon floater hook bait, that's it. Mirror, two-tone. Right, I can see the fish at the back of all the weed there. Just gonna try and scoop the whole lot up like that. There we go. What a way to finish.
There we go, mate.
What do we think of that then?
Nice fitting end to a few hours floater fishing this morning.
Yeah, he's old as anything he is, isn't he? Look at the size of his head.
Proper character, yeah. Lovely old two-tone.
Just goes to show though, doesn't it? Like, even though it looks like the chances may be written off,
Yeah.
persuading your mate to stay is definitely the one.
It's just worth getting out for hours to have a go.
Oh,
at floater
definitely.
fishing. You know, you don't need to be there for long, do you? You can
No, not
get
at
the
all.
results on a few hours and stuff.
Not
so.
at all.
No, nicely
But,
done, mate. Well done.
Sweet. Shall we
Get it
take
back?
a few stills and then get it back?
Yeah, let's go.
Sweet, man.
Well done, mate.